You're listening to For What, hosted by sisters Mary Beth and Lauren.
That's dumb. Not as dumb as having your retainers in the middle of the day. That's
Excellent point. I'm not as dumb as you today.
Welcome back, sisters.
Welcome.
This is the grand finale of season 1 of For What?
We did it.
We did one whole season. Is this episode 10?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ugh, I love that. I was thinking about that, and I'm like, I hope it's episode 10 and not like 8, because that would be annoying.
Yeah. I'll get that for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Episode 10.
It's just flown by.
I know. That went by so fast. We learned so much. Like, I thought it was going to be well, obviously, technically, it's been difficult, but as far as just...
There have been more kinks than anticipated.
Yeah, definitely. But it's just been way more fun than I thought it would be.
No, yeah, for sure.
So we're happy that you made it 10 episodes with us.
We're going to keep doing it because at the very least, we enjoy listening to our podcast.
We really like to listen back.
So we at least have 2 very loyal followers
Ourselves.
So we're just going to keep going.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Until this isn't fun anymore.
Who makes podcasts for themselves to listen back to?
I don't know, but
These girls.
more people should.
I know. It's so
Like,
funny.
why would you make something that you wouldn't want to listen to?
Why would you make something that you wouldn't laugh at in the moment and over when you listen to it?
Right.
It's so fun.
It feels like, you know, when you're in a group of friends and you're having like just a really fun girls' night where everything's clicking and you're like, oh my God, we should have a reality show. But it's like,
right.
It feels like that, except it is actually funny.
Isn't it?
Don't you agree?
Don't you agree? Do you think it's as funny as we do?
Don't you think it's the best podcast you've ever heard in your entire life?
If you do, please share it so we can maybe spread the circle beyond to people who like it.
Yeah. I would say we have a handful.
Yeah.
We are international.
We are.
So
thank you to
our New Zealand listener. We love you and appreciate your support.
We really do.
Also, my bestie girl pals in Abilene, which is West Texas, Trisha Poindexter and Sagan Everett, they wanted a shout out.
They wanted the name drop.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I wasn't sure, didn't know, because like your social medias are just gonna get flooded, like you're gonna be sent so much fan mail, like I didn't know if you guys are ready for that. So I wasn't gonna mention your names.
The 4 of us are really gonna talk about it a lot. We love them.
Anyway, but I love them so much.
Yes,
and,
we do.
Just felt like the gorgeous girls needed to be name dropped.
Yep.
So
I don't think any of my friends want to be name dropped. I don't think
they'll let you know if they do.
I think everybody's scared because I literally published a book about my relationship with my best friend, and I think since then everyone's like, maybe don't talk about us publicly.
Your romantic relationship with your now best friend.
That's true. Yeah, sorry. Speaking of...
Can I name him?
Yeah. Oh, I already have. We've already talked about him. Let's do a little rewind today.
Also, I just want to say really quickly how you are Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh!
In that...
Okay, I know your generation doesn't like Carrie Bradshaw.
I'm like, don't clap.
My generation loves Carrie Bradshaw.
It's aging you. Yeah. You are Carrie Bradshaw in that you published work about your relationship with a man.
Yeah.
And that is classic Carrie Bradshaw.
Yeah,
ultimately, that's not what it was about, but also like, that was the plot.
Right.
If there was a plot to be found in your book, it was that.
My relationship was the proxy of my book
What
and
you
the work
discovered.
and everything that I was exploring in that writing. So yeah, he wasn't the point of my book.
Right, but he was the main character.
Yeah.
And that's so iconic.
I'm so glad that you said that, because literally thinking about today's topic, I titled it for myself already as
What is she doing?
Main character men. No, not what is she doing? Although you might ask yourself that as I tell these stories. No, main character men. So these are the main
That's perfect.
male characters in my life. And I think we need to review this. I think it's
100%.
timely for the last episode of the first season because...
A nice little treat for making it through 9 very chaotic episodes.
And
let's celebrate me not being sick for one of the podcasts for this season.
For 1 out of 10 podcasts.
I am going to do my absolute darndest to not sniff, cough, clear my throat, gargle.
The editing work is too great of a task with your sickness.
The season that just came, or the episode that just came out, it's
Episode
like
6.
literally every 2 minutes
I know.
is some kind of secretion management noise.
It's so ironic that you're a speech pathologist and you're so noisy here.
Oh, unbelievable amount of noise. Because I'm so acutely aware. Anyway, so let's just, little treat for you guys.
She's going to be quiet. And I'm going to make this podcast make sense today.
You're not going to want to gag on your way to work by listening to me clear my throat. And you're going to hear about my sister's extremely traumatic life.
Yay!
That led us to here.
I love that in the last episode of this season, we're really going to give the explanation behind, because you said it today perfectly. You're like, I mean, yes, what happened with the assault led us to actually executing the doing of this podcast,
Right.
but that was just...
That was merely the straw that broke the camel's back. There was an entire bale of hay.
So we're going to talk about the bale of hay today, okay? And
A big portion of it.
yes, and I'd like to title this The Main Characters.
men.
Yeah, the main character men
I like
in
that.
my life. So let's begin. Okay. Character number 1, my real dad. I'm going to leave names out
Wow. Okay.
because, and I want to do my best. Let me say this across the board, and I thought about this already. All the men in my life, I truly believe they were doing the best they could with what they had. All of them had, well, the first many had a lot of trauma, and I get...
Unresolved, unacknowledged, unaddressed.
And really looking at it, at these main character men in my life, they are all victims of the patriarchy as well.
100%.
Like, this is exactly why we're doing this podcast, because obviously we know patriarchy hurts women, but as you hear these stories today, you're going to be able to see these threads too. So
With the men, because
yeah,
a thing is, in the patriarchy, there is a certain way to be a man, and there's a certain way to be a
Exactly.
woman as well. So, like,
Right.
obviously, we have that perspective of, like, I don't want to fucking be that.
Yes.
You don't have a single clue what it's like to be a woman.
Right.
Get a fucking grip. Don't tell me what to do. Let me do what I need to do. But as men, there's one specific way to be a man. But what's common in your life is that there's a lot of men that are against the grain of what is
standard or
recommended
Yeah.
for the ideal patriarch.
right, the recommended male.
Right.
I've never had that.
They did not come in that collection.
Yeah.
They-
So
for different reasons.
So literally, like, the patriarchy sells to men and women and everybody in between. This is the ideal package. Well, I have never been the ideal woman in that brand, and I have
Though we have tried.
Yeah, my God, have I? And I've never had that typical ideal man that fits that package either. I've never encountered that in fathers and partners.
People that have
and-
tried.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that your late husband tried
Yeah.
to work himself into
Absolutely.
that mold.
We were both trying really hard in that
Yeah.
era. We both really gave it our best. Okay, so let's go into it. Let's see how this goes. Okay, main character 1, my real dad. He's the dad of the first 3 of us kids, not your dad. They separated when I was 3, and my mom didn't want to get a divorce, so our mom, we do have the same mom, didn't want to get a divorce. So they just stayed married, but were separated. And those years were filled. So that was like 8 years of back and forth, a lot of chaos, and not like back in that era in the late 80s and early 90s, there was not like co-parenting. There wasn't really good co-parenting. It was like, we are enemies if we split families. So that created a lot of dysfunction.
Yeah.
Fast forward till I was 11, and then our mom, met your dad, and that's main character number 2 for me. I instantly loved him. I'm like, we are going to be besties. I just felt so seen. He's a very tender soul and very connected and wants to hear and listen to everything. Doesn't have a lot of words, which I had all the words. So instantly bonded with him. Obviously, you were born, which made my life entirely better. And then he and our mom quickly, I don't know how you would say that. It unwound. Whatever. We don't need to get into all my
No, because that's not really...
No, that's not the point.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so...
We don't need to get into all of your child wounds.
God, that's not what we're doing. Anyways, so...
There was a positive male influence in your life, but unfortunately, you were not able to really be super influenced by
Yeah, it didn't
him.
last.
Yeah.
Because he kind of had like a midlife crisis, which I fully understand now.
Sure.
And kind of tuned out for a little bit. So
Male number 2.
loved him, but there was a lot of issues that ended up happening later in my teen years, so we drifted apart. Then enters male number 3, possibly the mainest character, and that was my husband. And what do I even say about the ups and downs of that? Okay, let's go here. So I met him, he was in a prayer internship, and I was like, what the hell is that? And then quickly joined it just so I could hang out with him. Like, I didn't really care to like be more. I felt like, because we come from like really spiritual, we know spiritual stuff. I felt already that I was pretty profound in that way, and I didn't really buy into the idea
Need
of
a school to teach you how to do that.
No, I was like, my whole life has been the school. I was already there. So I was like, I'll go just so I can hang out and see what's up. And I remember being very cynical and skeptical the first few meetings. I was like, what is this? What is this dog and pony show? That was both. Anyway, and he was the cool kid on the block there. He was like the it guy.
Tongue ring,
Yeah.
frosted tips.
He had like the big testimonial story, and then he was, swung to the other end of...
He also wore that classic belt that has the 2 holes, top and bottom, all the way around the belt.
Yeah, he was what we used to call Metro.
Yes.
So he was...
Very, like, skatery.
Yeah, super into his hair and his bracelets and his ring and his...
Earrings,
and
gauges,
his tongue ring.
his
Yeah,
hair.
He had and his hats, his flat bill hats.
Oh my
were
God,
such
his
a style.
hats.
Yeah, so I just saw him in that program, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool. He's the best one here.
Right. He gets it.
Yeah, and seeing any man or woman really doing their thing in their work, it's really cool.
It's attractive.
It is.
Yeah.
So I just had like hit after hit of that, and after a few months I was like, sweet, but we couldn't date the first semester. So anyways, we end up getting together very quickly. So I knew him for 5 months and we started dating. Then we dated for 5 months and we got engaged. And then we were engaged for 5 months and then we got married. So 15 months later, we're married. That is not enough time to know someone. And what I mean by know, let's define it. You have seen them in a myriad of life situations. You've seen them stressed, you've seen them down, you've seen them up, you've seen them in success, you've seen them around family, around different groups of friends, you've seen them traveling, you've seen them in all these different moments.
Right.
And not just once, but like multiple times.
Just like any good research study, you want to have a large sample size. So you need a large sample size of experiences
to know, like, this is kind of the behaviors that I can count on from this person.
in order for you to be able to make an actual decision that is based on reality and not just, oh, everybody says we look good together. Everybody says that we should be together. I do like you. You like me. We have an attraction.
We love each other.
And we love God. That's it.
We share similar dreams and goals.
We say we have the same dreams and goals. Who knows what's actually real?
Who knows? Because we were 21 and 23.
But when you experience things together, especially in like heightened emotions or grieving situations or stress or whatever, you see who they really are because that's when you can't keep up the facade.
Right.
So then that's what's important. That's what you need to see.
All the experiences and also years. Like you really cannot see, because people can keep up certain perceptions of themselves
100%.
for months, if not a couple years.
Especially if you're long distance too.
Yes.
But
there's definitely a shelf life on that though. And so really testing that, I would say a minimum of 5 years, you'll be able to see someone. I mean, there's outliers to that, but whatever.
Totally.
And so what I feel like I didn't have the ability to do at 21 is make an informed decision about who I might marry. But alas, I went ahead and did that and got married. And actually 6 weeks before we got married, he hit a low. And that, people ask later, were there any signs? And I was like, yes, there were. And there were actually many. The biggest ones being I just didn't know him.
Right.
You could also say I didn't know myself and he didn't know himself.
Sure.
So we were so young.
Yeah.
So we get married. 18 months into our marriage, we're living out of the state. He's in full-time ministry, and which means I'm in full-time ministry and also working a job. And we have a point in our marriage where he's just like, I'm happy with our marriage. If you're not, that's between you and God. And that was the moment I felt like like something broke in me, and I lost hope that I was going to be able to create the kind of relationship I wanted with him.
Wow.
So 18 months into marriage, I was like, this is not what I thought it was. I had thought that many times before, but we were still talking and like working through stuff. But at that point, he really was like kind of fed up with me and was just like, hey, your complaints about our marriage, your constant like, oh, I want more, I want this different or whatever. He's like, I'm good. So I'm good. If you're not, go deal with it.
And I feel like that happens a lot. Like even in a as mentally ill marriage or relationship or whatever, like I think that's a super common male perspective, at least in my experience and what I've heard from other women. And like that's not okay.
Yeah, it's not partnership is what it's not.
Right.
It's really, but if you think about it, now I have this perspective of, oh, we were both trying to fit these roles that the patriarchy had laid out for us, that the church had laid out for us.
100%.
And he's like, hey, I'm doing my part, so go and figure out your part. Like literally.
Yeah.
And so that makes more sense to me.
And you talked about, you were just saying that 6 months before.
6 weeks before, the marriage.
Yeah. There, you had a sign, but you didn't say what that was.
Oh, 6 weeks before, he had like a really low where he felt hopeless. And I mean, like his personality changed. And I'm like, bro, what is going on? And he was like, I'm fine. And I'm like, well, you're obviously not. So like, talk to me. And he's like, listen, I just get like this sometimes. It'll pass. Like, I have to just wait it out. And I'm like, get like what? And he's like, hopeless. And I'm like, this motherfucker is hopeless and we are about to get married and start our lives together. That's like when you would think you would have the most hope in life.
100%.
And so that was really disruptive to my worldview and my relationship view. And I wanted to postpone our wedding, and I talked to our marriage counselors about it, which were some family members of his. And they were like, we've talked to him and his friend, we've talked to his, we all talked to each other and his friends and stuff. And everybody came up with the consensus that, Mary Beth, he'll be fine. He's coming out of it. That was just a little blip. This is what happens in relationships. You just have to love people through it. And, good days and the bad, right? Not just the good. And I'm like, hopeless seems like more than just a bad blip.
Right.
But I did not listen to my intuition, which is why I fight so damn hard for people to listen to their intuitions now, because that was a marker for me. And there was a lot of pressure. Like, I get that pressure of the invitations had already been sent, all the reservations had been made, like it was happening, right? That would have been a big humiliation. You know what's a bigger humiliation? 10 years later, coming to the same realization of that little inkling you had and been like,
what if I just listened to that when it came to me first?
Suspected something was up.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and here's the deal, like, he had a lot of choices in those years to access resources, get help, change something, approach something differently, and he chose his path. We were very naive. Again, we were in the patriarchy, but also in this even smaller subsect of the evangelical church, and that was even like tighter. You don't get help, and you don't take medication, and you don't do all these things. So it was very restrictive, and his resources were limited within that circle. So after 10 years of watching the torment of his mind, it was not blips. It was nearly every day. And it
like after that 18-month point.
Yeah. After that 18-month point, probably, it might have been after we had our first kid that I really started watching the cycle and like calculating, like taking notes, because he kind of had this cycle of, he'd be okay for 2 weeks. And then he would start to get kind of unhappy, a little distant for a couple weeks. And then he would get really, really mean for a couple more weeks. And that's when he would take it out on me. And then he would have a huge explosion of some sort, usually at me. And then he would start the cycle over again.
Wow.
And that, I was calling that mental health. I wasn't calling it anything at the beginning when I first noticed the cycle. I was just like, wow, this is my life. My life revolved around that cycle.
Like 5 years in.
Yeah. By 4 or 5 years in, I knew this is how this rhythm goes. My nervous system was set to this rhythm. And by 7 years in, I predicted it like to the day. I could tell you how this was going to go. I'm like, here it comes in the next couple days.
So you would like plan events around it maybe?
No, I wasn't that smart.
Okay.
Because I also had kids during that time, and so it was just managing them and whatever. But I knew, like, my nervous system knew.
Yeah.
Again, my intuition was like just perfectly in sync with my environment and what was going on.
So it wasn't like entirely conscious?
No, I did know there was a cycle, but I wasn't like as tuned as I am to my own cycle now, where I plan stuff around it. I wasn't like that.
Right.
Because I was living in chaos. When you're living in like a gaslighty situation where lies are truth and truth are lies and everything's twisted and upside down, it's very difficult to orient anything, much less have like logical, clear thoughts. I did not have logical, clear thoughts for a solid 10 years. Everything was clusterfucked, and it was chaos in my mind and confusing, and it was very, very difficult to live like that. Which also makes it really difficult to leave, because you don't know what's real and what's right and what's wrong and like what. I just thought the whole time, this is a phase. This is a blip. This is something he just needs God to heal, or a come to Jesus moment. That's what I always like prayed for. Just have a come to Jesus moment, and then he'll switch and like go back to being like the authentic, true person I know he is deep down inside.
Right.
Well, that switch never came. That come to Jesus moment never happened. And then he went back to addictions and substance use. And it was at that point, so that was probably 5-6 years in. And at that point, I was really starting to pull away, which was devastating to me, because I'm not an avoidant. I'm not a pull awayer.
No.
I am like, I lean in. I want to work on stuff and things like that. But I had to distance myself. And so...
and you had 2 kids at this point.
2 kids at that point. And then our life became revolved around the addictions. So drinking mostly. I didn't know about other substances till later, but it's just the classic, if anybody's dealt with addiction, it's classic story of, I think I can do this in moderation, and I think I can have just a little, and if you'll help me, I think I can keep a handle on this, and it'll be fine, and we could still enjoy ourselves, and like that whole thing. We did that rigmarole for years, and I was like, I don't want to be your mother. I don't want to do that. I don't want that role, But he's like, no, but we're partners, and you can help me, and that was not fun. And so I just started backing out. Like I stopped, when he was a pastor, I stopped going to church, which was a massive stance to take.
Yeah.
And then when he was doing the whole drinking thing, I just stopped. I didn't want to drink with him. I didn't even want to be around him. Yeah. Like I was just pulling back. And then I got on some supplements. I went to like a Chinese...
The supplements.
The supplements, I'm telling you.
That's the main character.
The supplements actually are my savior. And isn't that so funny that a few months ago I tried not to have them? Like, what was I thinking?
And now you know the truth that this is really an MLM.
It is.
We are selling supplements.
20. I have 20 supplements that I can sell you.
She swears by them.
I really do. And I went to this Chinese medicine lady who studied like Eastern medicine. And, she did one of those weird energy tests on me. And I was like, I don't care what you do. I just want something to be different in my life.
Totally.
And my husband was wanting me to get on antidepressants because he's like, you're so angry and depressed. And I was like, I know. I wonder freaking why. I
am a product of my environment.
I know. I'm like, I hate my life. I hate my marriage. It was literally the worst. And he was like, yeah, but like, go get on some medicine. So I was like, I don't want...
You go get on some medicine.
Which he did. Again, classic addiction situation. He would get on medication, mood stabilizers or antidepressants or whatever, and then once he started feeling better, he'd go, oh, I think I can wean off of these now. And that was a whole cycle within all the other cycles. So I had all these cycles going on. And then I go, because I'm like, I'm deep down inside, I've always been holistic, and I've never wanted to take even Advil or ibuprofen or Tylenol. So I go to this Eastern medicine doctor, and she like does all this stuff, and she's like, "Wow, your neurotransmitters are operating at like 50%." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't say?" And she's like, "Yeah, normally we want those to be about 95%." I'm like, "Oh, huh."
It's weird.
They're not really transmitting right now, so
you got anything for that?
Can you help a sister out? And she did. She gave me supplements, which one ended up being transformational for me.
Do you know what they were? Can you say them?
I do. Yeah, the one that I took, and this is over the counter. It's not like prescription or anything. It's a supplement.
You don't have to get it through our
you do not.
pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Help a sister out.
You could. We don't have one, so that wouldn't help us out. We actually don't sell supplements, but yet. Anyways, Lithium Synergy was the one that made a huge impact on my brain fog and postpartum stuff, and apparently the neurotransmitters.
We are not medical professionals.
No. Well, you are, but not in this way.
Okay. I am actually. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm a medical professional. No, but not in this way where we're prescribing things. Talk to your healthcare professional about what is right for you, especially with something like the lithium, because there's like a specific dosage and you don't want to take it all the time.
It's not real lithium.
Oh, okay.
It's not, like I'm saying, it's not prescription. Like, I bought it on Amazon.
Okay.
You know, it's not.
But still.
Yeah.
Don't
always,
do what we say.
with everything we say, and especially the supplements I talk about, you should do your own research. Like, 100%. Because what happens with me, those tricky little neurotransmitters, I do research and then I immediately forget what I did. So once I do the research and I decide on something, I'm like,
it gets your stamp of approval.
That's my thing. And then people will be like, cool, why did you choose that? And I'm like, oh,
I don't know.
I have no idea. You'll have to go look that up yourself. So highly encourage you to do that. But Lithium Synergy, I started taking that. 4 months later, we separated.
Wow. Could you feel yourself like coming back online?
You're
like,
within a couple
God.
weeks, I was like, hold up. What is this?
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So we separate 4 months later, and he did this. I'm going to be fully candid here. He did this janky ass, fake bullshit rehab with our pastors at that time who knew he was an alcoholic and said, and I was saying he needs to go to rehab. He needs help. And they said,
we got it.
We got this. The audacity that took still astonishes me. It's disgusting to me.
To think that they could handle that intense of a disease with very vulnerable victims at stake.
Real lives.
Sickening.
Toddlers at stake. We had small children at that time. And it's a disease, it's the trauma behind it. Yeah. These people were not trauma informed. They were not experts in addiction. They had no therapy degrees. There was no qualifications other than pastoral. That is a gross negligence. That was not okay. I'm still obviously very, very upset about that.
100%.
So he went to live with them for 5 weeks. And in that 5 weeks, they were, talking with me, how's he been? Checking up, like a grade, give him a little grade every week. And I'm like, it's awesome because he's not here. So I don't have to see any, my nervous system didn't have to be around that energy. It was amazing. And so after a few weeks, they were like, okay, you ready? You ready for him to come? I'm like, I don't know. Has he changed?
Right.
What was the process? They're like, yeah, he's good. He's good. We think he's ready to come back. I'm like, what? I'm not. I'm actually really liking this space.
I'm literally having the time of my life for the first time in 10 years.
It was just so nice to just have my own energy and then take care of the kids instead of being bombarded with the energy that he was having at that time. It was too much.
Do you want to call it what it was?
The reason I hesitate to is because I still didn't know at that time.
Okay.
So I kind of want to keep y'all in the dark. What? While
just like she was.
Just like I was.
We'll give you
what is it?
We'll give you lithium in a second.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. So then it'll all come together. So he comes back after 5 weeks, and then we go through another ridiculous, these are just insane years. They're just insane months of like, what even is this? So the amount of stories that I have in that year in particular, it's just ridiculous. It's absurd. So fast forward literally almost a year to the dot of him coming back.
From rehab.
From rehab. we get in a fight. We always used to fight around his birthday, and we fought around a lot of things. That was nothing special. But it also...
The birthday fight was an annual.
It was, yeah. One we could really count on. So that was happening. And that, after that fight, and that one was a little bit more intense because there were witnesses there, babysitters and my children, and people were seeing what was happening. And then the next day, I was still recovering. So every time we would fight, every time he would do his little routine where he explodes, so every 4 to 6 weeks, I would go into like what I call an emotional hangover, where I just feel numb. I feel zapped and dazed. And this is why my neurotransmitters weren't transmitting, because they were, it's like a nervous system shock every time, right? And then you're just like, ugh. For days after, and he bounced right back, right? He's like, okay, well, if you're gonna act like this all day, I'm gonna go and have a good time with my friends, so. And I was like, oh, well, I think we should talk about what happened. And he's like, well, it's my birthday weekend, and I don't really wanna be around this, so I'm gonna go. And I was like, okay. And there was probably the most vulnerable moment of my life. And he starts saying very calmly, but looking me in the eyes. And I'm sitting on the staircase, and my kids are 2 and 4 at the time, playing all over me. They're just crawling. They're playing with each other, but I'm in the middle, right? And he looks at me and he says, "You are an evil and cruel person, and I hope our children are nothing like you when they grow up." And my 4-year-old daughter, or maybe she just turned 5. Yeah, she just turned 5. Stopped playing, gets right in the middle of us, and locks eyes with me and just says, "I love you, Mommy. Mommy, I love you. I love you." And I kept trying to look around her to see him, like, are you seeing what your daughter's doing right now? And she kept moving her head to meet my eyes, so I couldn't even look away. And she just kept saying it over and over again. And I grabbed her and I was like, okay, thank you. I love you too, And in that moment, everything changed for me. I said to myself, over my dead body, will my children have to defend me, think that this is normal, ever treat anyone this way, or think that they can be treated this way?
Right.
Never. So up until that moment, I was operating under the guise, is that right?
I think so.
Of God was protecting them.
Right.
From seeing or feeling or experiencing.
Being affected by it.
What was the dynamic and the energy in our home. And she blew that up. And that was it for me. And I never looked back. I never thought twice about it. I was going to protect my children from that. And so I do credit some of that to the supplements, because I had been taking them for a year at that point, and I was a little bit more attuned and online to things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just telling you, my kids are everything to me. There is nothing I wouldn't do for them. And so in that moment, I was like, their worth.
That was your ammunition.
That was what I needed to say. Because it was really difficult for me to make that choice for myself of like, I made this choice. This is my lot in life. I've got to stick with it, blah, blah, blah. But when my kids, they didn't ask for this. They didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask to be in this environment. And it's my job to protect them. And so I was like, no, I'm not doing this another day. And we separated that day.
Wow.
Yeah, and well, he went and had fun in his party, and I went and stayed with some family. And when he came back, I said, we're not doing this anymore. We are not doing any of this anymore. Like that, what just happened, will never happen again. And he would, and this was pretty normal for me to say, you can't treat me like that, and this has to change. And he would cry and say, don't leave me, please don't leave me, you know, you're my everything, and all that. And then I would say, okay, well, it really has to change this time. It really does. And then he would, you know, he would be good for like a month, and then it would come back around, right? So that time I was like, no. Like, you're never going to speak to me like that again. Alone or around other people, never going to happen.
You're like, I'm so fucking for real.
Yeah, I am fucking for real this time. And I'm like, and that, I was like, you have to move out. And I had never said that before. So I was like, yeah, we got to change the space. So then we went through like 9 months. Oh, no. Okay. So we separated. Then I'm going to tell the whole story. I really don't talk about this a lot, just so everyone knows, because it's very vulnerable. And, you know, there's a lot of judgment around things like this and the way people operate in their lives. But at that time, I still identified as a Christian, and I had asked God 2 weeks before we got in that fight. I was kind of like falling asleep, and I just asked God, I wonder what it would be like to have like a good dad, like a dad who, you know, was there and fought for you and stood for you and, you know, loved you through everything, all the highs and lows, and didn't like, because again, first and second main characters, they would pull, they ended up leaving at certain points, right? And so I just didn't have that experience of someone staying in the fire with me and defending me. 2 weeks later, we get in this fight, we separate, and I'm laying down again, and I'm like, oh yeah, this? What is this? 10 years of all this chaos and turmoil for it to just end? I thought you were supposed to like, for fucking what? I thought we were supposed to have like that redemption story and whatever. And I just heard this voice say, you asked what a good dad would do. Not another day of your life will you be treated like that. And I was like, oh, well, that feels good. I kind of like that.
You're like, yeah, that feels true.
I know, like, that feels like something a good dad would say. And also, my second thought after that was, why did it have to go on this long? Still don't have the answer to that. Anywho, but it was great. I had a lot of resolve after that. I was like, okay, we are doing this. Then I was seeing a therapist. Then he found a therapist and we let our therapist talk to each other. And his therapist met with him one time and then called my therapist and said, have her read this book. Everyone, if my marriage story sounds at all familiar to you, you should get this book. It is called Why Does He Do That? By Lundy Bancroft. It became my Bible. It changed my life. I literally recommend this to all my clients and anyone who has experienced any kind of relationship remotely like this. What I learned in that book is what was really going on. This was not necessarily, it was not just addiction. It was not just mental health issues. This was abuse. I had been in an abusive relationship for 10 years and I had no fucking clue. I had no idea.
That's so crazy.
It was absolutely disorienting. So disruptive to learn that. I mean, that book became, it was just, he was saying my story, everything inside, all that energy, that turmoil, that nervous system wreckage, all that, he put it all in words.
This is literally articulating my exact story.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, this is like a thing?
And that's so fucking crazy because I feel like I was acutely aware of and scared of abuse. Like, that's a word that like is used so frequently. It's not like we don't know about it.
Right.
Especially
in our upbringing.
Yeah.
We did. We had a lot of language around it.
Yeah. There was that was not something under the rug by any means.
No.
Like, that was freely talked about. So then I can only imagine the mind fuck and the brain blast reading that and being like, oh my fucking God, that's what that is? Because that people don't talk about what it actually looks like, aside from the classic, like, what's portrayed like in movies or like
what we grew up hearing and talking about, what was on the table to talk about was sexual abuse and physical abuse.
Yeah.
What nobody talked about was verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, spiritual abuse. We did hear a little bit about financial abuse. But those psychological parts, we didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
So that's what was the blast for me. I was like, oh, which is why I was operating at less than 50% of myself. I felt like a shell. After every emotional outburst, I was just wrung dry. I mean, I felt like a skeleton, just barely creeping through life and not me. I just didn't even know who I was. I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know how. But it was my babies that got me to wake up. And I was like, well, if there was any threat to them, as soon as that became known to me, that there was a threat to them, that changed everything for me. But I will say this, everybody has their different breaking point, and truly, I really do, as I work in this field now, and as a practitioner, I have a lot of compassion and space for people to find their own path. No two paths look the same when you're in abuse or walking out of it. There are dangers that are very real. What's interesting is my husband never laid a hand on me. And that I can remember, I don't think he ever even broke anything or made physical threats like that. It was all psychological and verbal, and spiritual and financial. There were some of those in there, but it's all under the psychological umbrella. But when we separated, I was afraid for my life. It's amazing how that triggers such a high threat. It's pretty incredible. And so
I feel like, because you're in a completely different space. There's absolutely no rule book, guidebook, nothing to fall back on. You've never been here before, so you have no idea what it looks like. You're like, I know what to predict otherwise, but now here I'm in this situation. I know how bad he can explode in our regular cycle. What will it look like when I really piss him off?
Exactly.
When he has a valid reason to actually be mad.
Right. I broke.
What's he capable of?
I broke my role.
Yeah.
Right. So I played a part for 10 years in the cycle. I wasn't enabling. It's not enabling. It wasn't a willing thing. That was just the role that I took on. Right. That he required, and I was like, sure, because I didn't know what it was. But once I came online and I took that stance, any dissent was a threat. I was moving into threatening territory there, and I didn't know. He didn't know what his limits were at that point,
Right. You're dealing with a very unpredictable, chaotic person.
Exactly.
Sporadic.
Right.
Yeah. Impulsive.
Yeah. Unpredictable was the word. It was it's it's something that's difficult to even articulate when you're going through it. Like I mean, honestly, like this is probably the best I could explain it.
Yeah.
But still, that book explains it. He does such a good job, and he tells stories and like talks about how things just get twisted, and it's like a different attitude and perspective about, but it's like, but we're talking about this or that. And I was under the assumption and perception that we were in this together, and we were working towards the same thing, and we were going to have this wonderful marriage testimony, and we were going to help other people.
Right.
It just never
got there.
Never actualized, you know, and then I'm like, how long are we going to do this?
Right.
But to him, his, you know, baseline for relationship was so much lower than what our marriage was, right? So he looked at our marriage and he was like, this is awesome, you know? And I'm like, I want to die.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard to live. It's hard to want to live when this is what I'm waking up to every day. So no, not great. I don't want this, you know? And that's a really hard thing to do. It's just societally, it's really not acceptable because people want something concrete. They want a broken jaw. They want a bruise on the face. They want an infidelity. They want something.
Right.
How do you explain? Well, he kind of twisted what I said there, and he makes me feel like I'm invisible and I'm not a human and I'm worthless. And I mean, like, how do you explain that? And they're like, well, you really need to just work on your self-esteem and find your, you know, purpose in God and things like that. And it just nothing was holding up, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, the way I describe this, and even back then as we were coming out of the church, everybody was like, why are you leaving? And I was like, because we have real life problems and the church is not equipped to help us with those. The church was very equipped to help you with prayer and learning about the Bible and deepening that particular kind of spiritual walk. Not for domestic violence, not for addiction, not for trauma. Like, very, very clear lines need to be drawn there. And I think it would be an appropriate task for churches to have resources that are trauma informed and equipped to handle addiction and domestic violence and things, but to take all that on and say we can do this is so negligent. So if anybody's experiencing anything like that, just know there is so much help. There are so many resources out there that are actually informed, and there are experts that have trained for decades and they know this kind of behavior like the back of their hand. And
can we maybe link some of those resources?
Yes, we
like
definitely
in our
will.
bio or whatever.
Yes. I love to get people resources because I didn't have any at that time, and I really didn't know they existed. I truly didn't even know other people experienced what I was experiencing. So now I obviously am all the wiser. So that changed. Okay, so then 2 weeks in, I read that book, and I was like, oh my freaking Lord, this is not what I thought it was. Okay. And so the resolve just kept doubling down, and I was like, oh yeah, we're not going to be doing this. And here's the thing. So he was my first love. I still love him and care about him and wanted his authentic, true version to be in this world with us. And at the same time, my experience was with the abusive side of him, you know, and I saw glimpses of the authentic, real him in there. But as the addiction and the abuse progressed, that just was less and less. So you know, when we separated that last time, I told him, I cannot watch you slowly kill yourself. Like, you're dying, and I can't stick around for this. Then a few weeks later, I found out, you know, what the reality of our situation was. And I was like, okay, I can't watch you die, and I can't watch me die in abuse. So we're not doing this. You take care of you, I'll take care of me, and we'll be so great for our kids, you know? And I did my best to take care of me, and he spiraled into more chaos. And I don't really know what that journey was like for him for the months following. But we had a horrific divorce. It was very hostile and tumultuous for a year. And then when the divorce was final, that's when I moved back to Texas. And then 6 months later, he died by suicide. So that was horrific and really did a number on my blueprint for relating to men. Got lots,
to say the least.
Lots of questions after that one. Lots of wondering for what.
And I will say that about him. Like, obviously, I babysat for y'all a lot. I also cleaned your toilets.
Thank you.
Somebody had to.
So sweet.
He loved the kids.
Yeah.
So much. And they loved him.
Yes.
Like, they had a very, very, very sweet connection that was sweet for me to see just as a daughter who didn't have a super involved father figure, I guess, or from what I can remember and, whatever. So that was like just very sweet to see, and knowing that that was genuine for him, and like that was a core part of who he really was outside of the abuse and addiction and mental illness and his trauma and everything.
Yeah.
That was really special.
Yeah, it
see.
was. He loved his children literally more than his own life.
100%.
And I will say this till my dying day. I think he chose to die because he did not think he would ever have a chance of being well. And so he knew my kids would suffer. He knew he would hurt them. And that, for that to be his last mark on the world, I'm like, I appreciate his consideration of the kids in that way, right? Through his perspective.
Right.
So I was acquainted enough with his torment and his shadows to know kind of how his brain worked.
Right.
My brain doesn't work that way, right? And this is what I think they describe as mental illness. The way I described it to my kids is there's part of his brain that is sick. Well, that sick part is what brought this logic, right? Well, there's, I'm not going to be able to heal or be well, and so I'll just die and I'll spare my kids. So even in the sickness, I think he was like really trying to prioritize the kids in the best way he could, which is so tragic and heartbreaking and not at all the only options that were there.
Totally.
But in his mind, that's what he had, right? So yeah, back to resources. I'm a resource gal. I like people to be informed, about decisions they make. And if I could go back to when we were married and like trying to figure out what was going on with him and stuff, I wish I had the resources I have now, because I'm like, he is such a classic case of trauma brain and needing true brain and nervous system rewiring.
Yeah.
And he had none of it.
Like, I would love to see in an alternate universe, maybe y'all not getting married, y'all just being friends, and him going through like MDMA therapy, or like, one of those hallucinogenic therapies, or whatever, or ketamine therapy, or, whatever, where it's like you truly go to a different place than you are ever capable of accessing otherwise, with like a real true licensed professional.
Seriously. Honestly, I think I'm telling you, this man had zero coping strategies.
Yeah.
We had zero coping strategies back then, which is why I'm obsessed with them now.
Yeah.
If he just had a couple tools to deal with stress and emotions, like knowing you're not your emotions, knowing your thoughts are not who you are, learning how to observe your thoughts and meditate and be the watcher of yourself, those things alone, I think, would have saved his life. I think, because he was actually such a strong person mentally. Like, he did 40-day fasts, like liquid fasts, like a motherfucker. You know, he was crazy determined. He just didn't have tools. Wow. So that is another level of tragedy to me that just makes me want to throw up every time I think about it, which is
how
why...
many systems failed him.
Oh, so many. And that is why this work is so important to me. That is why I will never shut up about tools and mindfulness. And I'm like, in shadow work, like we all have our shit, and it's okay to be human. That doesn't make you broken or honestly mentally ill. I don't even like that phrase anymore, because I'm like, it's just your brain's way of adapting to trauma. Right. That is what your brain figured out to compensate for the pain. And we all do that. And so, yeah, that's how I see that now. That relationship led me into my work, obviously, because I was like, I've got to study this and figure this out for myself and my kids, and there's got to be a better way. There just has to be a better way. You know, that's where that hopefulness in me really came through. I was like, I'll figure it out. And I have figured out quite a bit of things. And in that process of me studying him and then my kids, I found so many gaping holes. Like, I'm like, oh my fucking God, there's so many missed opportunities. There's so many gaps in our, not just our upbringing, but like culturally. Yeah. So again, this is why I'm obsessed with pointing out the gaps in the patriarchy and the gaps in religion and what the church teaches.
Like, we're missing the plot.
We're
entirely, and it's killing us.
It really is. We're losing lives to this shit. Yeah. So, and even I went to church today with my daughter because she asked me to, and I will do anything for my babies. And she was like, "Are you excited?" I was like, "I would not use that word, but I am excited to spend time with you." You know, and it wasn't as traumatic as I thought it would be, thanks to the tools and the supplements, I'm sure. But what I heard in there, you know, I hear different messaging because my life experience, I code things differently. Now I've decoded all my past and this trauma and all the struggle. And so when I hear little lines like, we're raising our boys to be leaders and men, I'm like, well, fuck. There you go. You're stamping them with, you have to be this way, fit in this box. If you don't want to lead a wife and lead your family, there's something wrong with you. I don't like it. I'm like, let's change the phrasing. Yeah. Let's open that up a little bit. Yeah. You know, why can't the women lead families? Why can't the women lead themselves? Why do they have to be led by men? Why are we not saying the whole story?
Not everybody's born to be a leader.
No.
I really believe I was born to be somewhere in the middle. I really like to follow sometimes.
Me too.
Not
You like to follow me. You like to follow people you respect, or
listen, I don't like to be in charge of other people.
Right. You don't like to carry the mental load all the time.
Right. And let's normalize that.
Let's normalize it. And truly, let's
not empower people to think that they are capable of being responsible for other people and leading them and being liable.
Because of their gender.
Come on.
That's too much pressure.
What?
Yeah, that was too much pressure. My husband had too much pressure with that. Like when I think the reason he felt hopeless before we got married, and this is theory, obviously I can't talk to him about it, is he was feeling the weight of taking on a wife. And he's like, oh, now I have to lead her and provide for her financially. And he was barely providing for himself at the time. And here I am, just this dead weight that's supposed to come and support you and whatever you do. I'm like, that's crazy. Of course he felt overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Like, we have to give better tools than men, and this is how you will lead. Like, shut up. I want my son to be a child. When he's a child, I want him to be an adolescent and explore himself. And I want him to be a partner if he wants that one day. And I want him to learn teamwork and working with lots of different people to make things happen, not just taking charge because he's got a penis.
God.
Crazy. Anyway,
unbelievable.
So I hear something totally different, and hopefully that helps make this podcast make sense, because given all of these blueprints that I had early on, I just see the world through a different perspective. I have a different lens.
And you have done so much work, and you have dedicated your life to helping people find tools, helping yourself find tools. And you are, like we've talked about this in other episodes, you're learning who you are because you didn't get to know her.
Right.
You were trying to survive. So you're like, who gives a fuck what she wants?
Yeah.
Or what she thinks or what she can learn. We're just trying to stay alive.
Right.
So as you're going through that process, like you've gone through so many versions and iterations of who, like you have your core,
Totally.
but whatever, you're like, what if we did this?
Yeah.
And what if we did this? And so I think a huge epiphany that you got this summer as a result of Predator number 1 from Hinge was this idea of giving men the benefit of the doubt and just seeing them as, you're a man and a person who's saying words that I guess is good for a man to say. And okay, that's what I'm going to work with. And not to fault you at all. It's just like, this has been our learning process, and we talk about it together because like there's so many different scenarios and situations and whatever, but it's like we can kind of come to the conclusion now, I think at 41 or however, 42, you can probably come to the conclusion now that we need to just go ahead and do what we need to do for ourselves. And if we find ourselves doing something for a man, on behalf of a man, we're defending a man, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, we're doing something outside of what's true for us for a man, we're not being safe, whatever, we can ask ourselves, for what?
Anyway, so that was story time for today.
Wow.
Now we all know.
That was so intense.
I know.
Your life is so much. Like, I feel like I need a nap. I can't even imagine what it feels like to be in your body.
In my body every single day. Every day I feel like I need a nap. That's what it feels like. Really, and it's true because, like, replaying that, obviously I went through that pretty quickly, but my body carries that shit every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not carrying all the trauma anymore, but I'm carrying my story every day. Like, that's my fucking story.
Like, you have been through it.
I have literally, this body, this skin, this face has been through all of that.
And she won't forget it.
She will never fucking forget it. I won't let her. She won't let me. Wait, what? It's weird to talk in third person. I don't know. Who is she today?
I don't know.
Anywho, guys, ladies, sisters, we...
Probably just women.
Yeah. It's all jumbled in my brain. We are moving to season 2, and PSA, I am no longer in a midlife crisis, I think. So
stay tuned for beginning of season 2 to find out how long that lasts.
What's that? Yeah. See if I lost myself in between season 1 and season 2. Probably.
Things to look forward to in season 2. Wellness. Hopefully. I'm just going to speak that into the air.
Not being sick.
Yeah, not being...
As we go into fall and winter.
Listen.
Sick all through summer, but fall and winter, she's got it.
I think my immune system's built up now. I think I'll be okay. Less IT mishaps.
Yes.
And maybe some guests.
Maybe some guests. Maybe a little bit of different perspectives. Possibly. We'll see. We really like our one perspective.
People don't like when we agree. It's so weird.
That is so weird. I think
we're right. So. Why would you disagree if you know that I'm right? Anyway.
Obviously, they have a different perspective.
It's silly.
It's not an absolute truth.
Yeah, don't listen to anything that we say.
Do or don't.
What do we know?
Definitely listen to Getting That Book if any of my story resonated with you.
Why does he do that?
Why does he do that? Inside the minds of angry and controlling men is the tagline. Lundy Bancroft. We'll link it.
I think that's a good book to read, even if you are not in
I agree.
that,
Yes.
in the midst of it all. Like, I think it's just good, like, information.
It's
just
because
good research.
He literally profiles abusive behavior.
Yeah.
Like
and it's everywhere.
It's
actually everywhere.
You've actually experienced it at work, in school, in your families. Like, there are these behaviors, and it's so great to know what's actually
to call things what they are.
Whack-ass behavior, so you can say, no, thank you.
It's good to actually know what gaslighting really is, rather than what TikTok says gaslighting
social media,
is, or
pop
whatever.
culture says it is.
That's become like not what
Right.
it is, but it is actually still a real thing that we do experience. So it's good to have nomenclature, words,
Good word.
to put to what we're experiencing.
Right, like what we talk about on this couch may not be fact-based, but that book
For sure.
is fact-based.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, and we can give that gift to you.
Yep. And many more gifts to come in season 2.
Yes. Okay, love ya.
Love you.
If today hit home or lit a spark, drop a review, subscribe, follow, like it, post it, tag us, and send it in the group text.
We're so grateful you've spent time with us today. If you want to keep this podcast alive and thriving, there's a link to support us below. Even $5 says, keep going, gals.
Until next time, look for opportunities to deviate from the default, and don't forget to ask yourself,
For what?